meme review. Just kidding. Let's talk about all the jargon and verbiage that goes on in media so you can have a great first day in your internship or job in New York City or LA in media, if that's what you want. So first, the hot terms of the day: O&O and OTT. You'll hear this thrown around a lot. What does this mean? O&O means owned and operated, which basically just means the company's site. Like their main portal, whether that's Vice.com, Vox.com, Bloomberg.com, CNN.com. O&O, owned and operated, means the traffic is coming through the site. It's a video that was watched on CNN.com versus on Facebook. OTT, that's a big one. You'll hear OTT a lot. That basically means all the random things that you don't think of, but that media companies are putting their content out on. So Roku, Apple TV, taxi cab televisions, the stupid, screens that you see at the gas station pump when you're like, you pick up the pump and it starts blasting you CNBC News, and you're like, holy smokes, they got this stuff everywhere. That's OTT. It means over the top content, meaning not through like traditional cable, or not O&O, not owned and operated. That's a big push right now, it's a big land grab in media for OTT content. So every media company on the planet is just kind of throwing content on, like, the Apple News, like app player, on Roku, Apple News, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. They're just throwing content out there. It can also mean, OTT can also mean, like your more traditional, like non-owned and operated platforms like Amazon or Netflix or Hulu. If they get an exclusive deal to do a series, that would be OTT. That you're not going to bump up against too much. If you get in and they're talking about OTT in meetings, they're talking about like, how do we get our latest videos onto Apple TV so people can see it, and building out a playlist and page that looks like people can consume content, especially as more and more even like linear shows, like linear live shows, whether that's TikTok by Bloomberg or AM2DM by BuzzFeed or Yahoo Finance's live show. Since they don't live on the television channel, they live online. Where's the best place to host these? A lot of times they've been on distributed platforms. That's another term we'll get into. Particularly Twitter. Twitter's behind a lot of the live content at the moment, which has shifted from Facebook, which was big behind live a couple of years ago. But on top of like those live shows living on Twitter, right, you want them on OTT because people might come home, turn on their Apple TV and watch that show. So that's what people talk about when they're like, okay, we really need to expand in OTT platforms. That's over-the-table platforms. Distributed platforms. So like a lot of people be working on distro, not O&O. Distributed platforms mean that they want content that's going to work on like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Those are kind of the big four. The words social and distro are used somewhat interchangeably. Usually just like, social video means, or social posts mean like videos or pieces of content, posts that are meant to go viral or to gain traction on social platforms, distributed platforms like Facebook and like Twitter. Specifically like Twitter and Facebook, what's unique about them and like why there's certain teams that gear for social platforms, specifically Facebook and Twitter, is that they're not search geared, right? Like whereas YouTube is. And so when people talk about like, we really want to like make a boost on distributed platforms, what they're really saying in essence is that they want to make content that's optimized for Facebook and Twitter. And what is optimized content that's Facebook and Twitter? That means short videos that are like front heavy. They mean like right to the point, first 5 seconds, first 10 seconds, because that's your average watch time, and that are geared to be shared, right? The head and the description, the headline and the description need to be shareable, and the thumbnail wants to be shareable. So sharing, like, what's the share rate on a piece of content is much more important on distributed platforms than often views per se. Other terms, head and deck, and you'll see it spelled H-E-D and D-E-K. Head deck. What's the head deck? Okay, the headline, that's the head. That just means like, what is the headline of this post or this video? Deck, what's the description? I don't know why they spell it this way, but that's just the way it is. So head and deck means headline description for this piece of content. Another big term, frame. What's the frame? It's kind of just a modern term, modern parlance for angle. Like if you think traditionally, like what's the angle of the story? Nowadays, most media companies talk about framing. Like what's the right frame to get, a click or a share, especially like CTR. So the frame is going to be like, okay, here's this piece of content, this idea. What's the frame or the angle that will get the most people to click or engage with a piece of content? CTR, what's the click-through rate? That's an important number. That means like the amount of people that click versus the amount of impressions it's served. And CTR is going to play a big role on distributed platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. What's the impressions versus the CTR? So the CTR rate, like what percentage of people are clicking this that have been, served it. They've seen it but didn't click it. So that can range from 5% to 50%, And that's where you get into is, the CTR is very correlatory to like the share rate. Because what you ultimately want to do is like, in order for content to spread on distributed platforms like Facebook and Twitter that aren't search driven, people aren't going to Facebook and typing in like, how do I fix my small engine on my lawnmower, right? It's too precise. Most of the content that's being consumed via distributed platforms, distro platforms, are shared. They're curated by your friends. And so that's why you want to focus on how it's being shared. And that share rate's then going to, equate to your CTR, your click-through rate. So if you have a low CTR, that means you have the wrong frame because it's not getting shared. So you need to change up the head and deck. So those are the kind of the basic, terms that'll get you in the door and not sounding like an idiot. And also so you'll understand what people are talking about. When they say, hey, we're working on this, or what's that, or we need this from you. Yeah. Anyway, just a thought, guys. Have a good morning. Don't have my cup with me. But if you want to watch another video, this side or that side, you know how it is. Bye.